Welcome to the Breakfast Leadership Show, where we interview global thought leaders on business, leadership, and life. Here's your host, keynote speaker, best-selling author, and chief burnout officer of the Breakfast Leadership Network, Michael Levitt.
Welcome back. I've got Mike Pullano on the line. Mike, how are you?
I feel great. Ready to go.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's always good to feel great. Yeah, it's one of those, it's definitely underrated. Feeling great should be something that everybody strives for, because when you feel great, you are great. You do great things. You just, everything in life becomes so much easier. So why don't you share with the audience a little bit about you and this awesome work you do?
Yeah, for sure. So we are a company called ARX, stands for Adaptive Resistance Exercise, and we have invented a new form of exercise equipment. I am the chief product officer for that company. Been with ARX pretty much since day one, about 8 years ago, when we started imagining what could be in the world of exercise, some new ideas. And we're based out of Austin, Texas, which is where I live and have lived for the last 7 years, but originally from Chicagoland area. So a little bit about me right there.
Yes, the winters are a little bit more tolerable in Austin than on Wacker or Michigan Ave or anything like that. Yeah,
it's quite the departure.
Yeah, I worked in Chicago for 6 years, and yeah, I always say that winters in Chicago were worse than anywhere. Literally the wind would just kill you.
People don't understand what the jet stream from Canada does to just that little segment of the world.
Exactly. It just crushes it every year, every winter. And of course, Austin is a great place to be. It's just a natural incubation period for entrepreneurs. And obviously you started the organization before a lot of it really started, but you've seen just a ton of things going on in that city. And, of course, people outside of there would always remember Austin City Limits. And it's like, okay, yeah, good musicians and all of that, but it's so much more now. And it's amazing to watch that. And you're in a great place to be for that. So in launching a business, and obviously 8 years ago, you had this vision of, all right, we need to do something different with exercise. Let's get you from the treadmills and the exercise equipment that we see in gyms and all that. We need something different. So how did that path come about? What were some things that you noticed? Was it in your own exercise routine where you realized there needs to be something different, or was there something else to it?
Yeah, I mean, we as a company come from like a long understanding of kind of the history of exercise, the history of specifically resistance exercise. When we're talking about weights in particular, most people are familiar. So, we've been aware of that there's an inherent problem with a weight, is that it doesn't change. It's 100 pounds up and 100 pounds down. And yet our bodies and our capabilities, let's just take a bench press, for example. When the bar is close to my chest and it's 100 pounds, okay, it might be difficult there. But as I raise it, it gets easier. Well, that's weird. It was really hard, 8 inches before them. And so the reason why that is the case is as we extend our arms, we have the ability to create more leverage against that weight. We have the ability to move more resistance, handle more resistance at the top of a bench press when it's extended away from you versus when it's closest to you. We've known about this problem since day one of weights. And the iterations on that have come in the form of machines and pulleys and cam systems and all sorts of fun things that help to vary the weight, but they do it imperfectly. And that's really the problem, is we got a little bit of innovation throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s with Nautilus machines and a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, the innovations you see in resistance exercise are we put screens on things and, it has some kind of fancy bell and whistle, or there's less friction or whatever the case is. But there's not anything that's truly fundamentally solving the problem that I just described, which is I need a different weight depending on where in the range of motion I am during my exercise. If I could get a magic barbell, one that would change and alter the whole time, then I'd be able to optimally exercise to what my body's capable of. And what would that mean for me? Well, that would mean I would probably need less reps, less sets, less time, because I would have the right amount of dose every single rep. With ARX, our technology, that is what you get. You get that 100% of the time, every time. And there's a whole bunch of other fun stuff we do as well. And I should say, we do that not by using a weight, but with motors instead. So it's a kind of fundamental flip on its head of what most people are familiar with weights.
That's amazing because, again, and I understand, the whole weightlifting thing. It's like, when you're trying to press, the barbell off your chest, and it's like, okay, and you're stretching yourself, and you're trying to push a little bit more weight, and you get it up there. It's like, okay, up here it feels like I'm moving 2 pounds, or out down here it feels like 500, and being able to come up with technology to be able to actually adjust on the fly, like you said, a magic dumbbell type of thing, or weight belt. The thing of it is, when you do this, again, and I think the key thing you mentioned there was the time component. You're getting better exercise in less time, and it's as if you're cutting out a lot of the wasteful things that, based on the equipment we have, we got to do what we have to do. It's not like they can change the weights while you're getting ready to lift. It's like, okay, now of course they could. It's okay, add the more weight. Okay, now take it away. Well, that's a lot of labor back and forth.
Right.
And again, it's not going to be matched perfectly, where it sounds like your technology is 100% all the time getting exactly what you need at the right spot.
It is exactly that. And in order to do that, you got to move away from the thing that we're talking about here, which is a gravitational item. It's going to be 100 pounds no matter what happens, all the way up, all the way down. And so it doesn't alter itself, but our bodies require something that alters itself, something that can match it as it changes. And our needs change throughout an exercise, but also throughout a set. My fatigue, difference between my fresh strength at rep 1 versus my fatigued strength at rep 10, very different things. And then day in and day out, who knows how well I recovered this week compared to my PR session I did last week. You can't PR, personal record. You can't do that every single time. You can't always go up. Some days there are not so great days. Sometimes you're not fully recovered and you actually need to go down. So if you had an intelligent, perfect barbell that could know all those things, that's what we've created with ARX. You sit on a machine. We have 2 machines, and that's it. And they do all the major exercises you'd want, but you just set all your ranges of motion into the computer. So it knows exactly how long your arms are, exactly know how long your legs are, and it will never go past that. And then, okay, that's solved. Well, then how many reps? When I set it to 8 reps, okay, how fast do I want to move this thing? We'll move it 7 seconds forward and 7 seconds back. So as we start offloading all of the difficult things that people struggle with in the gym with a weight and with most exercise, it's how fast do I move it? What's the amount of resistance I should use? What's the proper safe range of motion? We have to think about those things all the time. Every time we step onto, every day, basically we do any type of exercise, you should be considering that. But the question is like, how much mental bandwidth is that taking up? Away from the idea that I just need to push this thing as hard as I can. Like I need to be creating as much effort into this exercise to get the biggest result. But a lot of times you're not able to get to that level of effort because you're worried. It's like, oh, is this the right weight? Do I look dumb if I drop this on my on my chest and there's no one there to help me? There's all sorts of things that when you can offload that to technology, it focuses you on the most important thing, which is I need to work my hardest. And you don't recognize how much bandwidth that occupies in your brain worrying about all those other things until you remove them. And then you get on ARX like, oh my God, this is so easy. All I need to do is just push as hard as I can and make the number go up on the screen.
I love the technology. So COVID-19, how did that impact your organization? What are some things that you've taken away from this pandemic as far as, how you've navigated business?
Sure.
I'm guessing, the equipment, it would be in a variety of different places, but, potentially home. And of course, in gyms that unfortunately in many places, were closed for quite a long time, which, we talked a little bit in the pre-show, with exercise is a great burnout prevention technique for sure. I mean, it's one of the key ones, alongside with nutrition and getting proper rest, which you get proper rest if your body's healthy. So it keeps going back to taking care of yourself from a physical standpoint, but love to hear how you guys have navigated through the pandemic so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll state that 2020 was the best year for our company of all time. And that was driven on the backs of a lot of our businesses that were out there. Some of them had to temporarily remove themselves from business and they couldn't actually offer anything. Other places had to have, very stringent guidelines. And what's great about our technology is that because if I set you up one day and I do all of your ranges of motion and I teach you how to use the machine, as a trainer, as an owner of a business, I don't need to be there. I don't have to guide you through. Like, you get it. I already made sure that, you understand the basics and everything's safe. Then you come in and do your own workout. So it's actually fun to watch is, in certain states and certain customers, they were able to operate kind of an autonomously driven business where, and a few of them are like zooming in, right? And they would like zoom in from, another room or like from home, and they would have a keyless entry situation. And customers would come in and then have their schedule just like they normally would. And they'd be the only one in the facility. And they'd just be doing the ARX machines. They clean up after and they leave. And they'd still pay. And it was really, really fun to watch what we believe is already the future. Is this will be how we all exercise in the future, is you will pull up an app and you will be able to find an ARX machine located near you. You'll open a door that has, keyless based on your phone. And you're going to be able to do this workout in a high rise in Manhattan and then be on with your day. Or in a co-working space or whatever the location is, an airport. And that's always been where our head is at about how this world is going to be shifting. The pandemic only helped to accelerate what we already believed to be the path that we were on. So it was really, a lot of people were not able to make it. So that's the honest truth. But the ones who were able to create a secondary kind of model to their business, it was like, wow, they're actually proving out the thing that we said was totally going to happen, in 2022. So this is the kind of thing where if you have technology, you can, just like everybody uses Zoom to solve all their meeting issues. Well, if Zoom didn't exist or video recording didn't exist or video calls, it'd be really difficult to meet. Conference calls, those days are brutal. Like, I remember those ones, like people talking over one another. You can't see each other. But the technology helps to improve that process to where everyone can work from home and everything's fine. Like, for the most part, everybody is fine. Everybody continued to move forward. And none of my friends lost their jobs or anything like that. So on that side, it was wonderful. The other side is we saw a bunch of people decide that, hey, I'm going to work from home. I'm going to put one in my house. Like, that makes a lot of sense for me. I don't have to travel. I don't have to go outside of my house for really anything. And that is also empowered by the technology we have. You have Amazon, you have Instacart, you have everything that can come to you. If you could add the perfect exercise equipment, it would be ARX in our opinion. So to that regimen. And so we saw some people do that as well. The combination of those two made for 2020 to be our most successful year to date.
That's awesome. It's always good to hear. And going back to the gym that had the equipment in it, or the location that had the equipment, and basically the owners are zooming in. They're not there, but right. You got the keyless entry. What that does, because we know that, and we've seen situations where there's a lot of organizations looking for help because of a variety of different reasons. The people are disgruntled with their workplace. They don't want to go back, or other nuances and that. What this does is it creates an opportunity for organizations, gyms, and all of that to cut way back on their overhead when it comes to staffing, have virtual. Of course, you can have somebody nearby to address anything, but you cut your staff needs dramatically, because many of those places, they can't find the staff anyway, because people are going on and doing different things. So you were way ahead of the game, but this pandemic basically gave you the fast forward button to go, all right, I'm going to skip to the next workout kind of analogy. It's like, yeah, we're going to skip a few years and let's get this equipment out there. And
yeah,
the fact that people were proactive and say, I want this equipment at home, speaks volumes, because, it's, any type of equipment is an investment, but I always tell people, what's the investment? Don't call it a cost or expense. Call it an investment, because you're investing in you. You're investing in your well-being. And if you do that, it has a positive ripple effect across the board. I deal with people in organizations that are going through burnout, and it's been bad. It was bad before the pandemic, and ever since, there's a lot of people that are really struggling with it. But I see a lot of them and just look at them going, you're not eating properly, and you look fatigued. So I'm guessing you're not getting, the right amount of motion in your days. And that was one of the things too, with everybody home and they weren't going out for a while. Their commute was from the bedroom to the couch and maybe the kitchen a few times and the bathroom. And they weren't getting 10,000 steps. They may not have been getting 2,000 steps a day. And of course, you do that over a prolonged period of time, you're going to run into some issues, which again has a really nasty domino effect.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an interesting, it's just an important time for us to kind of look at, what's going to be our place in the world moving forward. And there are many jobs that are going to be taken up by technology moving forward. Most of those jobs are jobs that people didn't even like doing in the first place. A lot of those people are not going back to work right now because they're recognizing, like, I didn't really even like going to that particular job. And that will push entrepreneurs and businesses to innovate and to maybe adopt technologies that they otherwise were thinking about adopting next year, 3 years from now. And that is happening at a faster and faster pace, and it's not going to stop. The process, if you're a gym owner or a business owner in the fitness industry, wellness industry, is overhead is difficult to deal with. I mean, they're paying their trainers anywhere from 30, I heard the other day, 60% of their revenue is going to other people. So, you're not running a charity here, like if you're running a profitable business. And I was just at a conference in Las Vegas 2 weeks ago, and they did a roundtable with a bunch of other business owners, and they were asking questions from their group. 85-90% of those questions were all about, how do you find trainers? How much do you pay trainers? How do you retain talent and keep trainers on board? Like, how do you incentivize them to continue to stay with you for long periods of time? It's like all very trainer focused. These are business owners who their number one issue is like other people in their business, their employees. Now, I'm not saying get rid of every trainer, but I am saying reduce them down to what is necessary and nothing more. And so when you add a technology like ARX into your business and you take a lot of the difficult things, the kind of babysitting that a lot of trainers do, you remove those. Now a trainer doesn't need to tell you every time to slow down because you're moving too fast, or, hey, your range of motion, remember, we can't go past this, past parallel in a squat. You're taking a lot of those things and you're offloading them to technology. You're offloading them to ARX. And now the only thing you really need is one trainer maybe doing, opens the doors, keeps the place clean, handles new users, is congenial, happy, makes everybody, feel excited to be there. But that one person can oversee 1, 2, 5 different people in an ARX environment where it's just people have some questions. Hey, real quick, what was I supposed to do? Leg press first or chest press next? Whatever that is. Very, very low skills required there. The main thing that you would need is just for them to be a good representation of your business and to play that psychological helper that a lot of trainers play. You can find that in a lot of people who are not trainers, by the way. And so that opens up your pool of talent right away to outside of just the people who are, I'm like a good looking, girl who's been, an athlete my whole life and I train for 15 years. You don't necessarily need that person because that person requires a certain threshold of dollar to pay them. And you might just get somebody who just loves being around people and they can help doing like basic customer service stuff. And so once technology starts to take the difficult part of exercise out of the equation, well, then it changes the model for most of our business owners. They can hire all sorts of different people, or more importantly, limited amounts of people. And then their business can scale on top of that. So you can run workouts. We run about, on average, it's about 15 to 20 minutes. And that includes just chit chat time, like per workout for ARX. My workouts per week are about 13 minutes total time if I'm really hustling. So with a more efficient technology, a more efficient business can be created. And so we just love to see the people who are thinking a little bit ahead of the game here and starting to run businesses where it's just really one person, for an 8-hour day. And, they can have 2, 3, 5 people show up in an hour and bang them out, get them all done. Everyone leaves happy and everyone's quantified. We get to see it all in the software. You don't need anybody like do any charting for you or write down anything. Like all that stuff's legacy business model stuff in the fitness industry. And so as we've created our product, we've thought with that person, that business owner in mind. It's like, how do we make it easier for them? And so that's what we've created, is the combination of both great exercise technology, resistance exercise technology, plus the software that helps to quantify it all, show everything, and keep you safe.
It's awesome stuff. And I think even the part you just mentioned, as far as, the reports and the data that comes from this, again, from a business owner standpoint, is amazing. And you don't have to chase people down, because in, your typical places, they may have all their resources tied into people that are trainers and their skills are in that. But it's like, okay, now it's time for reporting. And some people are really good at certain things and really lousy at others, and delegating that away from people like that and letting the system automate all of that is just a huge time saver, and it lets you focus on what you need to do. And when you have organizations or equipment or solutions like what you provide, it's going to make these systems and this equipment a must-have. I was thinking about your table conversation in Vegas about all of that. They were, using an old analogy because I grew up in Detroit, it is as if we went back to no, we don't need a car. We just need to make a faster horse.
Yeah.
They're focusing on the horse. The horse is no longer needed for that type of role. And now we're here. And
we use that Henry Ford quote a lot.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, but it makes sense. And and I deal with it all the time. I'm dealing with a client now that is, how do I put this politely? I could say tunnel vision or head in sand. It might be a little of both. There might be a tunnel underneath the sand. I'm not sure yet. I don't stick my head down there to look, because I'm like, no, let's look out here. And they're so focused on the weeds of things. It's like, take a look around and see what solutions are available. And wow, you could actually minimize the amount of equipment that you have to invest in, not just the personnel, but all the equipment that you see in a gym. You minimize that and go with your solution. People are going to get better workouts. They're going to get better results. They're going to go, wow, I love this. And they're going to tell their friends. And next thing you know, that gym owner is going to have to go buy more equipment, because there's people lined up and they're booking appointments to try to get time on this thing. And like, okay, well, guess what? We got to expand on this. And of course, they charge the fee for that. And all of a sudden they start being a profitable business. And then they look at franchising, and it's just, the sky's the limit on all of this.
Yeah, it really is. And we've seen, so to give everyone context, I mean, we've been prototyping since 2010. We hit the market officially in 2016 with kind of the models you see now. So we have successful businesses who have been in business for 4 or 5 years, and we've seen their growth trajectory. Like, reach out to us, talk to us about these things. Like, this is what is happening. It's happening at a, relatively small scale, but it's a growing trend, as more people are starting to realize that, wow, this is, every once in a while you get like a exponential improvement on something, some form of technology. You go from the old Nokia green phone to like the iPhone. You're like, whoa, game changer. Hell on, pause, everybody. We got to rethink what is now possible. And our customers for the last 5 years have been the ones that are seeing that future. And they're like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to start executing on it right now. And that's what's great, is like, if you would have talked to us in 2016, you could have maybe said like, show me a couple people who have made it first. Now I can show you, 60, 80 different people who are making, serious revenue in their businesses and not getting burned out while doing it. They don't have to be there and trade time for dollars every day. And that is something that industry is just well known. You hit a ceiling at some point when you run a gym or do anything in fitness, because you're the time, like you're the star of the show. You're the trainer, and without you there, no one's really going to pay for just access to your facility. In this case, you remove that overhead, you remove that time from your life, and people will still be willing to pay you, $20, $30, $50 for an ARX session, because the exercise is so good. It's so valuable. It's so potent. It's so real. And that's one of those things, if you haven't tried it, go to arxfit.com and check it out first, understand like what it is. But then, send us a little message. Let us know what city you're in, and we'll connect you to the nearest business owner. Like getting on the machine it's a very, very eye-opening experience for everyone, even the smartest in the exercise industry. They're just like, man, I thought I got it, but until I did that first leg press, I was like, oh, no. I had no idea. And so every once in a while, there's something that changes the game. And 8 years into this, I'm still waiting for somebody to tell me like how this isn't that thing.
Well, the evidence is showing that it is that thing. So, Mike, loved our conversation today. Where can people find out more about you? And thanks again for the link there. But yeah, go ahead and share that link again, and anything else you'd like to share.
Yeah, for sure. Go to arxfit.com, check out the website, download the ebook. More importantly, that's a free ebook, and it will break down a lot of the benefits of this type of exercise. It's a very unique form of exercise. Plus, it talks a lot about some of the things we just hit on in terms of like maximizing square footage for a business, all those kind of things. So, or maximizing ROI per square foot in your business. That ebook is fantastic and a great place to start. And if you're interested thereafter, reach out to us. Let's talk, and let's get an ARX machine into your house or into your business sometime soon.
Awesome. And I'll definitely have that information in the show notes. So, Mike, thanks again for all that you do, and congratulations and continued success.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks for listening to the Breakfast Leadership Show, part of the Breakfast Leadership Network. Visit breakfastleadership.com for tips on empowering your business and your life.